Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast. Welcome back. Hey, I'm so glad you are back with us again, and I am super excited to share this episode with you all. One of my new friends, Jeff Peterson, who listens to the podcast, took me up on my offer to have him as a guest on the show. Now, Jeff doesn't live too far from me here in southeastern Wisconsin, so it was awesome to learn that even though we had never met before, we lived close by, and he follows the podcast and the show and what we're doing with the business. So that was awesome. I got a chance to talk with him about like his grilling journey, and he recently bought a pellet grill as well as a new Weber charcoal grill. So he brought an interesting perspective on why he chose a pellet grill, as well as the differences in the nuances between the pellet and the charcoal that he has, and advice that, again, he would give to himself if he could go back and maybe go back 2 years when he bought both of those and do something differently. So if you are on the fence about buying a pellet or buying a charcoal or which one to buy, this will give you a good perspective from just your average backyard griller who has been through that process. He's done the research, and he made the decision. And now that he's been doing it for a couple of years, he has some good tips and advice for those who might be looking to purchase either one of those. So I hope you find some value in his perspective as somebody that's been through that process and currently using both still. So I hope you find some value in this podcast. And if you do, again, please continue to share it with those that you know that might be barbecuing and grilling, or just thinking about it, or starting out on their journey. Because again, the only way that we can grow this show and expand the reach is through you, by sharing and leaving us a review and a rating wherever you listen to the podcast. And of course, you can now find these podcasts video recorded on our YouTube channel, Burn Pit BBQ. Go out there, subscribe, and follow us for more. We're going to be using that channel for quite a bit more here coming up in the future. So again, here's Jeff Peterson, and we're talking about the difference between pellet and charcoal from his experience. Here you go. Cheers. Oftentimes, life is demanding, stressful, and just won't stop. When needing to take a break, we like to light up the charcoal and crack open a cold one. The Grilling to Get Away podcast is an ongoing conversation about all things barbecue and grilling, from our backyard to yours. So if you sometimes don't know what the heck you're doing, if you like to learn, and if you don't take yourself too seriously, you're in the right spot. Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast, and I am super excited to be here with somebody who lives not too far away from me, Jeff Peterson. Jeff, thank you so much for taking some time to be on the show with me.
Well, thank you, Greg. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I put out the call, when I said we were doing this podcast thing and recording now that Ben's away, and you answered the call. And somebody who doesn't live too far away from me. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you listening to and following the podcast. So, Jeff, as we jump in here, why don't you give the audience and the listeners a little bit of background about who you are, how long you've been grilling, and what inspired you to start?
Sure. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, my name is Jeff. Like I said, I live right here in southeastern Wisconsin. I've been in Wisconsin, lived in Wisconsin my entire life. Live in Caledonia, Wisconsin. I don't know if any of your listeners are familiar with where that is.
We've got a few of them.
Good, yeah. With my wife, I've been married 20 years. Live with my son, 16-year-old junior at one of the local high schools. I have a 18-year-old daughter who's sophomore in UW-Madison. Being from Wisconsin, I've become a lifelong Wisconsin sports fan. I follow the Badgers, Bucks, Brewers, and Packers. As far as grilling, I've really only been serious in the live fire, wood fire grilling for the past 2 or 3 years. Before then, I was just kind of I wouldn't even call it a recreational griller. Just had a propane gasser on the back deck, and would just go out there and grill steaks and burgers and brats whenever I was in the mood, just for something different. A few years ago, it was early spring of 2020, COVID year, which was just a coincidence. The gasser finally crapped out on me, took a dump, as they normally do. So I started researching what I needed to do or what I would like to do to replace it with. And all my research pointed me to the pellet grills. I have to give a lot of credit to the pellet manufacturer for their marketing efforts. That's what really drove me to the pellet grill. So I upgraded from the gas to a pellet grill, and got our friends over here in Caledonia at Court and Dick's Ace Hardware,
Yep.
nice local business. They built it for me and delivered it right in my, into my garage. We appreciate that type of service. And so I got the grill, and I really didn't know what to do with it. I had a vague idea, but so I started researching, and from there it just kind of snowballed into more advanced grilling and smoking, and just wanted to use that to its fullest potential, and from there it you know just kind of got into an exciting hobby for me as far as researching other cooks and whatnot, and so that's kind of where it started from.
Okay, so you've been kind of grilling, on propane. You started, it sounds like, and then you transitioned recently over to like a pellet.
Yeah,
Would you mind sharing like what brand you got and kind of
yeah,
why you went with that brand?
yeah, absolutely. And I got the Traeger 575.
Okay, Traeger.
Yeah, um, I I don't really know why I chose that brand. It's just that that's the one that just showed up every time I did a search or a YouTube search, and heard really good reviews about it. Um, since I've owned it for a couple of years now, going on 3 years, my opinion on it is a little varied from what I originally bought it. But yeah, it mostly their marketing and their YouTube videos and everyone's reviews on it online is what drove me to that. After I've used it for a while and knowing what I know now, and some of the other experiences and stuff I've had, and some of the other research, I probably wouldn't have gone that particular route. Nothing wrong with the Traeger. Mine's worked perfectly from day one. It's a phenomenal grill and smoker, more of a smoker, which I've learned over the past several years. But mine's functioned and operated and really well. No problems with it. I keep it clean, which I
Yeah.
think helps the performance. I clean it after every smoke, clean out the firebox and vacuum it out.
So what
Um,
so my question is what made you go with the pellet? Was it because of the ease of just the operation, or was it something different that intrigued you about that going from, propane to kind of more of an electric pellet? What made you choose that style?
okay. Well, I wanted to upgrade the grill from the propane, and all the like I said, all the research and stuff is for mounting this grill into being like a replacement
Hmm.
for the gas for the propane, which I quickly learned wasn't true. Um, but yeah, I thought it's just something different. All the reviews and stuff were very positive and stuff, and I thought it performed better, got better smoke flavor and whatnot, and more of a smoking experience with the pellet grill. So it was what really drove me to the pellet grill was just a replacement for the gas grill, and was never my original intention until I started to get into it, make this into a kind of a hobby and
Okay.
taking it to the next level.
So you got the pellet grill, the Traeger in the backyard. Now, do you have anything else, or is that the only equipment that you have right now?
No, I do. After using the pellet grill for almost immediately, but after like the first 3 or 4 months, I realized it did not do what I thought it would do as far as what I'm used to with grilling and whatnot, and then that high heat and searing heat. So I did in what I call an upgrade. I went to a Weber kettle. I
Okay.
got that 2 summers ago, 1 summer ago. So I've had it for almost 2 years, going on my finishing off my second year using the Weber kettle. It's just a basic 22-inch
Yeah.
Weber kettle performer. Um, with the not performer, I'm sorry, the Weber the plus one with the ash catcher. which
The
was a
ash
nice,
catcher. Yeah.
yeah, which was a nice feature. I've had Weber kettles in the past, long time ago, and I always remember that pan underneath catching the ash was
Yeah.
a lot of work. And
Hmm.
after I started researching the Weber and found that they have the Premier, the Weber Premier, that's the one I have. Um,
Okay.
uh, that ash catcher on the bottom, that's a great feature in my opinion. It's really kind of a game changer. Really makes the
Yeah.
cleanup and
Absolutely, yeah. So traditional Weber kettles just had that ash pan, like you mentioned. And it was kind of held up by like three wires, almost like,
yeah,
and yeah, that
it
would catch
never
the
really
ash.
worked.
Yeah, yeah. And then they upgraded a little bit to like the catch where it's got kind of a handle, and like a little container to contain the ashes. And then when it gets full, you can empty it. So you got one of those. That's awesome. So you
And
got the
the sweep too, it cleans out
yeah.
the ashes almost. It's almost a no touch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got the Weber now, the kettle, you got the Traeger. Um, what aside from kind of being able to do some different cooks and the high heat and all that kind of stuff, what made you go for the Weber in addition to the Traeger?
The natural wood flavor, the
Okay.
charcoal flavor was just not. I just was not achieving that with the pellet grill, and it's something I knew I've experienced in the past, and
Mm.
um, yeah. So and that, like you said, the high heat searing. So the combination of those two things, I decided to include the Weber kettle into my,
Yeah.
and that's kind of my primary grill now, and even to some extent some smoking
Hmm.
on it. I've tried a few times smoking on the Weber, and it's definitely night and day difference as far as the flavor profile and that's natural smoke flavor
Hmm.
and charcoal flavor that I really enjoy, which was missing on the pellet grill.
Okay. Yeah. It takes a little bit more practice, I'd say, with the
Yeah,
Weber if
yeah,
you're doing, smoking or some indirect grilling there. The pellet is a little bit easier, right? You just kind of plug it in, set it, kind of, you can forget it, so to speak.
right. There's some
Um,
ease to it, definitely.
yeah, yeah. So what was your first cook when you got the pellet grill, the Traeger? What was your first cook on it? Do you remember?
Probably burgers,
It was
maybe
burgers
even
on there.
brats. I can't. Yeah, okay, I've been keeping a log since then, but I don't really have anything on that first couple months that I've been using it until I
Okay.
really got into the live fire cooking. But it wasn't nothing too special. It wasn't until I started getting into it that I started branching out into the more traditional smoke smoking dishes and whatnot.
Okay. What do you remember what you did like when you got the kettle, the Weber? What was the first cook that you got on the kettle?
Probably steak. I
Yeah.
mean, I really miss steak cooks on the propane, and I realized really quickly that the pellet wasn't going to provide that sear on
Mhm.
those steaks. So once I got that kettle, and it's probably a steak or even burgers or something.
Okay. So you got the Traeger, you got the Weber. Is this like and you said you had mentioned you had like a family, a couple kids. Is this a family affair too? Do they, encourage you to get out and grill, or is this kind of your opportunity to kind of maybe take some time and get away?
It's definitely my opportunity time to get away.
Okay.
That's the thing I really enjoy most. But it relieves the cooking in the kitchen. I do some cooking, but my wife does most of it. My wife enjoys the barbecue that I provide. But it just gives her relief from the kitchen stuff.
Yeah.
The boy, he'll eat anything you put in front of him. He doesn't really care what it is or how it was made.
Okay.
But he enjoys. He appreciates the meat.
Mhm. Do you do you find that he's starting to get into it with you as well? Like, because I know with my boys, some of them gravitate towards it, some don't. So are you finding that he's starting to kind of get interested in grilling or barbecuing?
No, not
No?
even, not
Okay.
even. He has no idea that I'm even out there.
All right.
He comes, up, out, down from his room and asks if there's anything if we make anything, and either yes or no, and he goes back to his room if there's nothing to eat. But no, he doesn't join me or anything. I've offered to have him join me out there a few times, but he has no interest at all right now.
Okay.
He's
Well,
a
there's still
typical.
time. There's still
There's
time.
still time. Yeah, he's a
Um,
typical 16-year-old.
what does he like that you cook though? Does he have a favorite dish that you cook on the grill that like he
Uh,
might ask you for?
he likes the steaks too. He likes the
Yeah.
steaks and the burgers, and the chicken. But pretty much anything that you put in front of him, he's going to eat. He drowns everything, whether it's in barbecue sauce and
Okay.
the what is it, the Chick-fil-A
Ah.
sauce, everything. Well, and being from Wisconsin, he likes the ranch too.
Oh yeah.
But
My boys are the same way. If it doesn't have
mm,
ranch, it's not a meal, right? So,
right, right.
well,
No,
that's good.
he's definitely not picky or particular. Anything that's in front of him, he's going to eat.
Mhm.
Leave the dish on the table and walk upstairs back where it was, left. But
Well, that's good. Yeah. So what's your favorite dish to cook? You said this is a time for you to get away. If
definitely,
you if you have the opportunity to spend like a weekend or just a whole day prepping or preparing, what's one meal that, you're gonna cook if you have that time?
my favorite to prepare and also to eat are ribs, pork ribs,
Okay.
baby back ribs. I've done a lot of spare ribs. I am by no means an expert at the ribs. They're not bad. They're getting better every time. Um, but I would like to become a better rib cook, not even necessarily a master or anything at the ribs, but what I like to call no think ribs. I really put a lot of time and thinking when I'm doing those, and I always forget a step or something that I, go back and oh man, now next time I gotta remember to do this, and then I do that, and the next time I do it, I forget something else. But I just always thinking, are they done yet? Are they ready to be pulled? Are they, at a temperature? The last several that I've done, I've kind of gotten myself into the wrap um, category now. I used to know. I started wrapping and I didn't wrap for a long time, and now I'm back to wrapping my ribs. I think that's the direction I want to go in. So I've just been reading up and researching more on unwrapping ribs and stuff, and I just gotta fine tune my process and get it, where I'm comfortable at it every time I cook the ribs. But
Now, are you
it,
doing the ribs on the Weber or the Traeger?
on the Traeger, I do them on the
On the
pellet. I've
Traeger?
done a few of them on the kettle. I did a hot and fast. I tried a snake method that
Mhm.
I wouldn't say failed misery, but it didn't work as well as I had planned it out. I've
Okay.
only done 2 or 3 racks on the kettle, but the Weber, the Traeger, the pellets do a really good job on the ribs, in my opinion. You're gonna miss that smoke flavor, that infused smoke flavor, but the pellet grill does a good job, in my opinion, on just smoking meats. And any of your traditional cooks where you're really smoking them, I think that the pellet does a pretty good job. So I'm mostly concentrating on the pellet grill right now with my ribs and
Mhm.
other things that I've been smoking. Not that
And
the pellet doesn't do a good job. I just gotta
yeah.
get better at it.
Yeah, it's one step at a time. You master it on one piece of equipment, and then you go back and you try and do it on another piece. So
Right.
when you're wrapping them, what are you using to wrap? Are you doing butcher paper? Are you doing aluminum foil? How you going through that process?
Aluminum foil. I put them on the pellet. Depends, it all depends on the time, how much time I have to commit to it. If I got 5 or 6 hours that I can sit out there all day long, or at least be in the area, I'll start it nice and slow, 200, 225, 250, and get that nice mahogany bark on the ribs. However long that takes, I don't even know. I mean, it's not the 3-2-1 method. It's whenever it's done method. If
Okay.
that's 3 hours, 4 hours, pull them off, put them on a tin foil
Mhm.
wrap with some brown sugar, a couple pads of butter, some honey,
Mhm.
some uh, apple vinegar cider, um, and just get a nice bath in there with the
Yeah.
wrap, and wrap them up nice and tight, and then back on the grill. I kick it up a little higher once I get that bark that I want. That's when I pull it.
Yeah.
And go
So
to
so
the wrap.
you're cooking the temp, which is awesome. So you're not
Yeah,
waiting. Yeah, you're not doing it
no,
by
I
timing
don't
or
even watch
anything.
the time.
Yeah, you're watching the temperature, which is great. And that's what kind of what we recommend too is, it's cool to try some of that stuff out. If it works for you, great. But really ultimately, cooking the temp is really what you should be looking for. So
Right.
you're cooking to a certain temp on the Traeger. Once it gets there, then you are wrapping it. Sounds like you're putting some butter, some brown sugar, some apple cider vinegar. Then you're wrapping it back up, and then you're putting it back on just for a little bit longer.
Yep, not much longer.
Okay.
Hour at most, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on
Hmm.
if I kick it up to 250 or 275.
Yeah.
And just probing it, just
Hmm.
uh, just probe it until I get that tenderness, that almost where I want the tenderness, not quite. And then
Okay.
I pull it back off and unwrap it, and goes right
Yeah.
back on the grill to get some nice grill marks in it to
Mhm.
finish it off.
Okay. Are you saucing at that point, or do you?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do.
Okay.
If I'm doing two racks, I'll sauce one and not the other.
Hmm.
Just get that sauce to caramelize and get a nice, add a little more color to it. I'm
Yeah.
not myself a big sauce guy, but I think it does add the flavor
Hmm.
and puts that nice color on there, that nice mahogany carbonized
Yeah.
color on there.
Yeah. Everybody's different with sauce. Some love it and swear by it. Some are like no sauce at all. Me, I'm kind of like a sauce on the side. So yeah, I'll do probably similar to what you're doing. Well, maybe if I'm doing more than one rack, I'll sauce one rack and one rack I'll leave unsauced. So that sounds great. Now, when you're doing the pellets, do you have a certain flavor or blend that you're using when you're doing the pellets for your ribs?
No, no,
Okay.
I quickly learned with that pellet grill that the pellet's a pellet. In my opinion, I've not been able to taste any flavor difference between any of the pellets.
Okay.
And My favorite pellet is just whatever happens to be on sale when I'm running low. And when
Yeah.
they are on sale, I stock up and got a pallet
Hmm.
in the garage, not a pallet, but a pile
Okay.
in the garage. I do like to support a local company, well, not a local, Wisconsin company that I purchased my
Mhm.
pellets from, Lumberjack Pellets out of Hayward, Wisconsin.
Lumberjack.
Yeah, they produce and sell and ship pellets out of Hayward, Wisconsin, up in Sawyer County there.
Hmm.
And another local brick and mortar store here in the area sells them for $9.99 a 20-pound bag or something. That's the brand I usually buy.
Okay.
But if there's something on sale for cheaper, I'll certainly go there. I'm not going to pay a premium for pellet. I've made
Yeah.
that decision a while ago. I think, in my opinion, they're
Mm.
all the same. But I do like to support the local company. And
So you're looking at lumberjack, and usually supporting local, which is awesome. That's what we recommend too. Finding any place that's local to you and support them. Um, so ribs is kind of something you're working on. Is there something that maybe you haven't cooked yet that you're looking forward to trying soon, or you got it planned?
no, I've never done a large brisket. The big
Okay.
12, 15, 20-pounder. I've gotten a few of the smaller briskets from Ollie's that I remember Ben was talking about a
Yeah.
few episodes ago. In fact, I think I got one in my freezer now. So occasionally, Ollie's will have a sale on it. I think it's just the point. And I've
Hmm.
tried that on both pellet and the kettle. Um, but I would at some point like to do a larger, $80 brisket.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe if they ever come down from $80.
Yeah, $80 might get you a flat or a point now,
Yeah, yeah, it's getting
Yeah,
outrageous real quick.
but you're looking at doing something bigger than like a 3 or 4 pounder. You're looking for
Yeah,
10, maybe 10 or 12. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
It's something to
okay.
the normal,
Hmm.
competition style
Yeah.
type type brisket.
Now,
That's
how
Go
did you
ahead. I'm
do
sorry.
those? No, yeah. So how did you do the brisket points that you did last time? Do you
Uh,
remember how you prepared those?
yep, unwrapped,
Unwrapped.
both on the grill, on the pellet, and the charcoal.
You try to
Right
have
now,
both.
yeah, right now I think the only thing I'm wrapping are my ribs. I'm not
Okay.
wrapping my pork butt. And it wasn't until last couple cooks on the ribs when I came to the conclusion that wrapping might be better for the ribs. But I haven't been sold on anything else. So that brisket point and the pork butt, I'm a no wrap. Let it
Mhm.
ride low and slow.
Now, when you're saying low and slow, are you saying like 200, 225 unwrapped till it gets to your certain temp and then you're pulling it?
Until it gets at a certain bar on the pork butt and the brisket point, until it gets that bark that I like.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking at that internal temp until I get that mahogany
Mhm.
bark on them. Then I start probing them, and then I start kicking it up. And after it's got all the smoke that I think that it's going to get, and the bark that it's going to get,
Do
I
you
start.
what type of probe do you got?
I got one of the thermal pens, the Gen One.
Gen 1.
Yeah, it's a really good device. The one that reads in 3 to 5 seconds. I don't
Yeah.
have the new one yet that has reads in 1 second, so I'm losing
Right.
2 or 3 seconds of my life every
Oh.
time I use it. But I've tried
Yeah,
to
well,
visit.
I think you'll be okay, right?
Yeah, that was actually one of the first accessories I bought when I got
Yeah.
the pellet grill, and it's been working great from since I got that. That's a good accessory, good company that I really support.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great point. What is one of those things aside from the thermometer that you bought? Like let's stick with the Traeger. Let's stick with your pellet grill because we don't talk a lot about that. So I'm
Right.
interested. Um, what's one of those first things that you bought, aside from, maybe the pellets or the thermometer or like the cover, that, if you could go back, you'd probably buy it earlier. You'd buy it when you first got the grill, but maybe you waited a little longer to before you knew you needed it or something like that.
Well, on the Traeger, I was very disappointed with the meat probe that came with it, that the
Yeah.
integrated probe. That thing did not work. I mean, I said that everything on my Traeger worked. That was a lie. That
Okay.
that probe did not work
So the
coming out of the
probe gave you
box.
some, it gave you
Yeah,
some issues.
yeah. Well, I need those older Traegers. They have a function in there where you can offset that probe,
Mm.
which made me think if you put in a feature that that you can change the the accuracy of it, then
Mhm.
that means that you're not that confident when you're shipping it that thing works very
Uh,
well. And I've learned that really quick, and I threw that thing out right away.
okay.
And since bought an Inkbird 4 probe Wi-Fi
Mm.
multi probe meter or temperature
Mhm.
gauge that I use both on the Traeger and the kettle at some point. But that's I was a little disappointed with that because the Traeger was integrated with that probe and it was all right
Yeah.
there and
Yep.
it just didn't work. But another device really didn't hurt. It just would have been nice if it was integrated.
Yeah.
But that Inkbird works really well. I've been using that for ambient grill temp
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing several different cuts or getting 2 or 3 points, readings on a particular. But I don't use that. I don't use that for the ribs. Or
Mm-hmm.
I mostly use the thermal works pen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great point with the ambient temperature reading that you get on some of those wireless thermometers, especially if you're doing it on, I know the Traeger has their temperature gauge there and you could see, but like, I don't know, maybe if you're doing a kettle or something else, like that's an added reading that you get that,
Mm,
is very helpful because, one side of the grill or, the inside might be a little bit off from what you're getting from the outside, thermometer. So that's a great point. Like having that Inkbird give you ambient temp as well. So you said that, one of the good things or one of the things that you bought right away that really was helpful for both the Traeger and the Weber was that Inkbird, that thermometer. So that's a great tip, I think, if for people get, just starting, thinking about what accessories to buy for their grill. It sounds like for you, at least, it was that thermometer that really kind of helped um, with your cooks right away.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if the newer ones have a better integrated probe. I hope it does for the prices those things
Mm-hmm.
are. Um,
So if you could go back to when you first started, maybe when you bought a Traeger, your propane, took a dump on you. You got this Traeger now delivered. What's one piece of advice that you'd give yourself as somebody who is new to a pellet grill that you wish you would have known at that time?
well, I don't think I would have bought a Traeger, to be completely honest with you.
All right, all right.
Knowing what I know now, I probably would have saved that money and bought. I mean, I still like the pellet grill, and I probably always have one on my deck. But I think I would have bought. I think there's just as good, if not better, pellet grills in the market for a lot less, several $100s less. I probably would
Okay.
have went with maybe a Green Mountain or something, and it's a lower with less features,
Okay.
and then roll that money into a better or a larger kettle.
Mm-hmm.
Both my pellet and my kettle are doing fine right now, so I'm not gonna upgrade. But I could see myself with a larger kettle. I even like that performer
Yeah.
with that table. The table's a nice feature in my opinion. I got a little uh, outdoor patio table that I always end up
Mm.
dragging over to the kettle for a workspace, and then I drag it back when I'm done, and but something attached to the grill. I got the folding shelf on the Traeger, which was
Yeah.
$80, but
Little
um,
extra.
a little extra, but it's a nice feature. But I can see myself with an upgraded kettle. I mean, I
Okay.
could even see myself paying up for the Kamado suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like the kettle that much that I think I could. Um,
Get that bigger one, the Kamado that you're saying.
right, yeah, the ceramic one.
Yeah. So that's a great point too. So you were kind of newer to charcoal as well. So
Right.
if you could go back, aside from, the different type of grill, the performer or the Kamado or the ceramic, um, what would be some advice that you would give yourself as a first time charcoal griller, on the kettle, recently?
Just more research into it. Just don't be sold on the pellet.
Mm-hmm.
The charcoal kettle does just as good, in my opinion. Um, I probably, if I like I said, if I go back, I probably would have started with the charcoal
Okay.
and got relatively good at that or more used to that, and maybe I wouldn't have even like invested into the higher end. Well, the 575 isn't one of the higher ends, but still one of the more expensive pellets. But I'd really like to start getting more into the charcoal kettle and getting better at that.
Okay.
I still always have a place and a use for the pellets. It's a
Yeah.
good smoker.
Yeah.
It does a good job for what it's supposed to do, but it does not sear. It does
Hmm.
not produce that high. It produces high heat, but not that flame kissed
Hmm.
heat that I really like on more of my grilling dishes that I do.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Starting off maybe on the kettle and then moving up, but you say that you're always going to have a place for the pellet, which is, very typical, I'd say. Like, there's a lot of options out there. And so, as we wrap up here, we have a lot of, new barbecuers and grillers that kind of tune into our podcast from time to time. So regardless of the grill or the smoker, what's, one piece of advice that you give to somebody that might be just starting out, on their grilling or smoking journey, that you would probably tell yourself if you could go back in time?
Give yourself the time.
Mhm.
It takes time. Don't think you're just going to go out there, throw something on, and a half hour come back in, and you'll be
Yeah.
done. Let it go. Nice and low and slow if you can, even on the kettle. Let it get that smoke flavor on there, that charcoal flavor on there. Just take your time. If you have the time, turn that, crank that vent down, get that temperature down a little lower, and let the meat just infuse the smoke, and then when it's getting time to serve it, then move it over to the hot side of the grill and get it done. But if I don't have the time, I'm usually not going to go out there, and start up the grill.
Yeah.
If I can't give myself at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, and
Mhm.
that's really part of it for me. Like the podcast is just grilling to get away. Just my time to get away
Yeah.
and enjoy just being outside on the deck with the dog and a beer and
Hmm.
maybe a cigar and stream the Brewer
Now,
game and
yeah,
just
now
enjoy
you're
the
talking.
evening.
You're talking our language, Jeff. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is for me really truly grilling to get away,
Mm.
and it really
Yeah.
doesn't matter what's on the grill,
Hmm.
um, but just a chance to get away and forget everything for a few hours if I can, and That's the
Yeah,
part I
no,
really enjoy.
yeah, we're right there with you. But Jeff, man, this was so awesome. I
Yeah, it
really
was fun.
appreciate you coming on and answering my questions.
Yeah,
And looking forward to talking with you some more down the road because
absolutely. Yeah,
we're not too far from each other. But
definitely.
Jeff, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and I hope you get a chance this weekend to get out and grill.
Well, thank you, Greg, and I appreciate your time too. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
no
it.
problem, man. Thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, there you go. There's Jeff's take. A lot of good information for the backyard barbecuers and grillers who are considering a pellet grill or a charcoal grill. He gives some great kind of insights to what went well for him, and then also some things that maybe he would do differently next time. I found it interesting. About he maybe switched the order up in which he bought those grills, so he would probably maybe buy a charcoal first, save some money, and then maybe buy a different type or different style of pellet grill, and use the savings that he had to expand his charcoal grilling section that he has in the backyard. But awesome insights there. Again, that's the type of stuff we're looking for. The average barbecue or griller in the backyard, what they found has worked and what they hasn't worked. So if that's you, if you got a story to share, if you want to share your perspective, hey, the link to my calendar to record a podcast is in the show notes. Go down there and click on that link, and we'll find some time to chat and share your story to the world here. So again, Jeff, thanks for being on. We appreciate you, and I appreciate you all for listening and taking the time to share and review the podcast. So again, we'll talk to you next time, and hopefully get a chance to get out and grill. Cheers.